I transmigrated into a book, surprised, straight into the villain's bed. Our eyes met, and I awkwardly greeted him, "Hello, bro." The handsome young man rubbed his eyes. Damn, what kind of powerful, effective old man is this? Just made a wish and a little fairy appeared. Sounds like in Han Chi-Zu's review. I transmigrated into a book. The most unexpected thing was that of all places I could have transmigrated to, I ended up straight into the villain's bed. Right now, I'm lying face down on Gu Chen, not daring to move. After all, the weight of an adult isn't exactly light. I only saw the handsome young man slightly move his arm, his long, feathery eyelashes fluttering. Our eyes met, and I awkwardly greeted him, "Hello, bro." Gu Chen rubbed his eyes, stunned. I was stunned too. First reason, unbelievably handsome. The book described him as cold and ruthless. Suddenly, I appeared in his bed. Who could understand that? I was really worried that he would tease me to death the next second, but maybe I was overthinking things. Suddenly, Gu Chen's eyes lit up. He grabbed my shoulder, his voice excited. "Absolutely amazing. What a miraculous old man. I just made a wish and a little fairy has appeared. Oh my God, where's the coldness? Where's the cruelty?" While I was still confused, a voice suddenly echoed in my head. "Host, don't be scared. Gu Chen is drunk. He just thinks he's dreaming. Besides, he hasn't really turned evil yet. He won't kill you." My body stiffened. Someone? I'm the host system. Luckily, in my previous world, I was a true novel-loving nerd. Otherwise, with these bizarre things happening, I might have thought I was about to end up in a mental hospital. Based on my years of reading novels, I guess this. So, I have a mission to do, right? Bingo guessed right, the host's mission is to control Gu Chen's power. To be honest, I don't really want to take on this mission. In the original novel, the supporting male character Gu Chen fell madly in love with the female protagonist from their first meeting, almost to the point of obsession. Perhaps because he lacked the male protagonist's aura, no matter how well Gu Chen treated the female protagonist, she remained unmoved. Later, when the female protagonist and male protagonist got together, Gu Chen's jealousy erupted fiercely. He destroyed the male protagonist's company and imprisoned the female protagonist. If the female protagonist hadn't used her authority to threaten him later, Gu Chen probably would never have stopped. In the end, he would have met a tragic end, spending the rest of his life behind bars. Now, let me take on Gu Chen. Leaving aside the possibility of failure, even if I succeeded, given Gu Chen's dark and cruel nature, I fear that one day he'll go crazy and try to imprison me. Thinking this, I suggested to the system, "Can I change the mission?" The system refused. "Host, you need to trust yourself more." As soon as the system finished speaking, Gu Chen suddenly turned around, wrapped his arms around my waist, and in an instant, I was enveloped by his body. His beautiful, captivating eyes stared intently at my face, his hand tracing my features. "Little fairy, can you hear my wish? Is that why you came down to Earth to love me?" Love. In the original story, wasn't Gu Chen only interested in the female protagonist? How could he make such a ridiculous wish? The system spoke up at that moment. Gu Chen hadn't met the female protagonist yet, and today was his 18th birthday. It was normal for someone in their youth to have such a dream. Under Gu Chen's intense gaze, I swallowed. Ignoring Gu Chen's villainous personality, his face truly made my heart flutter. Thinking about needing his power, I decisively nodded as he said. Suddenly, a surprising glint appeared in Gu Chen's eyes. He moved closer to me, then cautiously asked, "Then can I kiss you?" The system exclaimed excitedly. "Oh, this is so exciting. Let him kiss you, kiss him. Host, quickly take him down." Okay, this system guy calms down a bit. Although Gu Chen's lips are glistening with moisture and look very kissable, kissing him on our first meeting doesn't seem quite right. What's wrong? Anyway, when he wakes up, he might not remember anything, and even if he does, he'll probably think he's dreaming. Host, it would be a waste of opportunity not to kiss him. The system continued to add fuel to the fire. Gu Chen saw me silent for a long time, his mouth slightly pouted, and he looked at me with an extremely pitiful expression. Just that one look made my heart melt. Moi. Gu Chen immediately flashed a radiant smile, but the moment he pressed his lips against mine, I secretly brainwashed him. "Gu Chen, once you kiss me, you're mine. You're not allowed to like anyone else, okay?" Gu Chen lifted my face like a precious gem, solemnly promising, "I only like this little fairy." He got closer and closer, and I could even feel his breath. However, just as our lips were about to touch when he tilted his head to the side and leaned his head on my shoulder. What did that mean? Was he not going to keep his promise? What an unreliable villain. Meanwhile, the system in my head started making noise again. How could he be asleep at this age? Wake up and kiss me. Gu Chen had fallen asleep, but my heart was filled with confusion. So what should I do next? Where should I go? Where should I return to? The system, tired, began to comfort me. Host, don't worry. Because you are a transmigrator, the system will provide you with a series of life guarantees including food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. My eyes lit up. That's fine. However, the most urgent thing right now was to get out of Gu Chen's house. I glanced at the sleeping man. If he woke up, my unauthorized entry into someone's home would land me at the police station. Just as I was about to sneak out, I suddenly thought, can this system teleport? A system. I continued to plead. Systems in novels always have a golden touch. Let me try it out a little bit, please, I beg you. The system seemed hesitant. I know, but all right, don't ramble on anymore. Hurry up, I'm ready. The system lowered its voice. Okay then. Boom, in the steamy bathroom, a thin but incredibly tall teenager, wearing a loose, oversized t-shirt, raised his hand to wipe his soaking wet hair. I tried to steady myself, our eyes meeting. The teenager was startled by my sudden appearance, his mouth wide open like a chicken egg. I forced a smile, inwardly cursing the damn system. I asked you to let me experience teleportation, not to watch someone else shower. You're such a pervert. Host, actually, I was going to say that I know how to teleport, but I only know half of it and I can't control the point. Come here. System, I'm a newcomer. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Well, you didn't give me a chance to speak. Blame yourself. I looked at the stunned teenager and spoke softly. Although appearing here so suddenly is a bit excessive, heaven and earth bear witness I'm not a bad person. It took the teenager a while to regain his composure, mechanically lowering his aching hand and tremblingly asked, so who are you? I lied, I said I was a fairy, do you believe me? The teenager frowned, clearly not believing me. I'll continue to deceive you, how about this? Now close your eyes first, count to 3, and I'll disappear immediately. The teenager didn't flinch. Old man, kids aren't as easy to fool these days. The young man took a step forward, his fair, smooth face magnified before my eyes. He looked at me seriously. I don't want to close my eyes, you're so beautiful, I don't want you to disappear. Sincerity is truly a powerful weapon. That statement genuinely made me happy. I smiled sincerely at the young man. Thank you. Then I unleashed a blow that knocked him unconscious. He had no choice but to close his eyes, otherwise how could I leave? The system exclaimed in amazement. Host, you're amazing. I subtly touched my nose. Just average. But who was this person? He looked quite handsome. To be honest, I'm also a person who appreciates good looks. The system indifferently uttered the 2 words male protagonist. I was completely speechless. After that incident, I didn't dare let the system use the teleportation ability again. I prepared to leave through the door in a perfectly normal way, but the system was still displeased. Host, trust me one more time. Failure is the mother of success. Let me try again. This time I'm sure I'll succeed. I scoffed. Only a fool would believe him. Seeing that I wouldn't agree, the system changed tactics. All right, host, you can go out now. Just a gentle reminder, Song Yu Hui's family is in the living room. Song Yu Hui is the male protagonist. I paused for a moment. Okay, then I'll trust him again. However, the truth proved that I couldn't trust him at all. I stood in the desolate field, gazing at the lush green grass in the distance, my heart as calm as an autumn lake, and asked, so where is this? The system was silent, then 2 seconds later awkwardly coughed twice. Sorry, host, there's an error. I don't know where this is either. Oh, that's wonderful. So how do I get back? The system hesitated. Host, why don't you stay here for a while and let me do some research? This research lasted 5 years. On this vast grassland, I almost became a farmer, and the system informed me I could return to the mission. Looking at the 300 cows and goats grazing in the distance, I closed my eyes and sprawled comfortably on the chair. Was it really necessary to do another mission? Finally, I had my dream life. I really didn't want to leave at all. Was the research complete? Or should I double-check? It was definitely complete. Host, don't delay any longer. Seeing that I still didn't move, the system continued. Host, I forgot to tell you, from the day you transmigrated into this book, the conquest period was 6 years, and now there are only 6 months left. If you don't complete the mission within the time limit, the mission will be considered a failure. I remained silent. Only 6 months left. Why didn't you wait until 6 days before telling me? What will happen if it fails? The system didn't reply, but I knew it perfectly well. Sigh, I guess I'll just go meet the black and white impermanents once to learn my lesson. Because my mistake caused the host to waste so much time on the conquest, I'll compensate. If the host completes the mission, they'll receive an 8-figure reward. I counted on my fingers, jumped up from my chair, my eyes shining brightly. Really? Really? Let's go, hurry, don't stop. In the blink of an eye, I was back in the hustle and bustle of the city. According to the story's plot, next month was the male and female protagonists' engagement. Of course, things didn't go so smoothly. The male protagonist's company unexpectedly faced a public relations crisis. The wedding had to be postponed. Following that, a series of storms hit. The company continuously encountered problems and eventually declared bankruptcy. Who was behind all this manipulation? No need to guess, it could only be Gu Chen. Afterwards, the female protagonist came to beg Gu Chen, but he imprisoned her instead. The female protagonist, in despair, tries to force Gu Chen to give up his life. Knowing he can't win her love, Gu Chen finally lets go. The story ends happily, with the good getting away with it and the bad paying the price. I was lost in thought. Things had come to this point. The female protagonist had become his obsession 800 years ago. How could I possibly pull him out of that abyss of obsession? I sighed. System, why don't you take me back to the grasslands? I want to win the remaining 6 victories and dance with her and my herd of cows. My flock of goats. The system lamented, as if lamenting my failure to mold iron into steel. Still the same old saying, host, you have to believe in yourself. What else can you believe in? So I prepared a strategy to ignore everything and conquer Gu Chen. Go with the flow, follow the will of heaven. If it succeeds, great. If not, so be it. At 9:00 p.m., I squatted in a corner drawing circles. Behind me was a lavishly decorated club. A large golden sign bore the words, Hao Ting. Knowing Gu Chen was there, I rushed over. However, upon reaching the entrance, I learned that this place wasn't accessible to just anyone. Only members were allowed in. The system breathed a sigh of relief. Host, seeing you so diligently working, I'm relieved. But I was relieved a little too soon. I just wanted to see what the young man with the peach blossom-like face from back then had become. If he wasn't handsome, then there was only one word, beautiful. I waited for almost an hour before Gu Chen emerged. He stood on the steps, his figure slender like a pine tree, his eyebrows sharp and refined, his eyes deep and profound. The more I looked, the more handsome he seemed, but no matter how I looked at him, he appeared unapproachable. After admiring him, I stood up. Whether it was from squatting for too long or from standing up too suddenly, a wave of dizziness washed over me. After taking 2 steps, I realized it was best to just stand still. The world spun around me. I ducked forward like a headless mosquito, crashing straight into the rearview mirror of the car parked in front of Gu Chen. With a thud, the fragile rearview mirror fell to the ground. My first reaction was, what a crappy car, it's even more fragile than that. Then I saw the bright red horse emblem on the hood. Suddenly, the air seemed to freeze. I regretted leaving the house today. After an unknown amount of time, a cold voice came from behind. Cash or bank transfer? I turned around, forcing a smile that was uglier than crying. Is that all we can talk about? Gu Chen looked down at me from above. What else do you want to talk about? At that moment, I really wanted to joke about dating, but I restrained myself. The Ferrari, now missing a rearview mirror, quickly drove away. Not long after, another car pulled up in front of me. Gu Chen opened the front door and got in. Get in, or we'll go to the police station to talk. As soon as we got in the car, Gu Chen started asking for my personal information. Ning Yan, Ning from Ningqi, Yan from Yanxi. My phone number, I randomly dialed a series of numbers. My home address. This question put me in a difficult position. After arriving in this world, the only place I had lived was that desolate grassland. I tried to make up an address but couldn't think of one. Finally, I gave my home address from my old world. Gu Chen nodded in satisfaction, then asked me, is there nothing else you want to say to me? I thought for a moment and said, can I be exempt from compensation? Gu Chen frowned. That's all, nothing else. I shook my head. Gu Chen's frown deepened. Of course there was, it was just a rearview mirror, after all. He was the richest character in the story. Was it really necessary to be so stingy? My forehead was swollen like an egg, and I hadn't said anything yet. Seeing that Gu Chen wouldn't back down, I started playing dirty. First of all, let me make it clear. I have no father, no mother, no children, I'm all alone, I have no money, only my life. Gu Chen looked at me thoughtfully. I crossed my arms in front of my chest and cautiously said, raping a woman is illegal. Gu Chen seemed angered, letting out a soft snort through his nose. My house needs a maid, and I'll provide food and lodging. If you don't want to compensate me, then come and take the job. Sometimes inaction is also a form of action. I came here today simply to see if Gu Chen had changed at all, with no intention of doing anything else. But unexpectedly, disaster struck, and suddenly I became a maid paying off a debt. Gu Chen took me home, pointing to the empty room next to the study and said, "You'll stay here from now on." My whole body stiffened, but I still nodded. After saying that, Gu Chen went upstairs. Halfway through our walk, he suddenly stopped and looked at me with an expectant gaze. "Surely you have nothing else to say to me?" I thought for a moment, then tentatively asked, "Good night." The expectant look in his charming eyes vanished into shards of ice. Gu Chen didn't look at me again and went straight upstairs. No way, what exactly does this guy want me to say? On my first night at Gu Chen's house, I didn't have trouble sleeping as I imagined. On the contrary, I slept very soundly. However, in the middle of the night, I kept feeling an itchy sensation, wanting to scratch, but something was tightly binding my hands, preventing me from moving. It took a long time for the itching to subside, replaced by a pleasant, cool feeling. I turned over and continued to sleep soundly. The next morning, I dutifully fulfilled my duties as a maid, getting up early. When I washed my face, I noticed the red swelling on my forehead had significantly reduced, leaving only a bluish mark. After washing my face, I tidied up a bit and prepared to go to the kitchen. But when I opened the refrigerator, I was stunned. It was empty. How does Gu Chen usually live? In the novel, Gu Chen is described as a rich kid who lacks both love and attention from his family. His mother died early, and his father abandoned him. Later, he even brought his young mistress and her 2-year-old illegitimate child home. Gu Chen's hatred for his father had been nurtured since childhood. And this hatred finally exploded when his mother's position was replaced by another woman. It should have been kept secret. Gu Chen cut off all ties with his father and moved to live in his mother's house. It wasn't until Gu Chen graduated from university and his father died of a heart attack that he returned to the Gu family. No one expected that Gu Shengzhai would leave the entire company and most of the assets to Gu Chen. The first thing Gu Chen did after taking power was to kick the mother and child out of the house. But surprisingly, Gu Chen didn't move back to the family's old villa, but remained in a house nearly 2 hours' drive from the city center. Looking at the empty refrigerator in front of me, I guessed there wasn't even anything for a cook. No wonder he agreed to let me work as a maid so easily. It turns out he really was short of staff. No ingredients. I decided to go out and see if there was anywhere selling breakfast. Just as I reached the residential gate, I turned back, forgetting that I was now a genuine pauper, with not a penny to my name. I complained to the system, "Didn't you say you'd ensure my basic needs were met? Who goes to war with only one set of clothes like me?" The system said sadly, "Host, you're misunderstanding me. I didn't let you lack anything when we were on the grassland. It's just that now you've set yourself up as a penniless beggar, so I can't just arbitrarily help you." How dare I say that? Who would abandon me on the grassland like that? My mind was completely preoccupied with the system's intimate conversation, and I didn't notice the person in front of me bumping into them. This time, it wasn't my foot that was injured, but my nose. Tears welled up in my eyes, blurring my vision. Rubbing my eyes and apologizing, a clear and gentle voice reached my ears. "It's all right, I was just vaguely aware. You look quite tall in front of me." Apologizing once more, I turned and walked away. After only 2 steps, someone suddenly grabbed my wrist. The voice was a mixture of surprise and joy. "Is that you?" My body froze. I wiped away my tears and turned my head. I can see more clearly this time. In front of me was a handsome man, a faint smile playing on his lips. His face gradually revealed the image of the boy I met in the restroom last year. It was the male protagonist, Song Yu-hyo. "So you're here. I've been looking for you for a long time. Trouble, I really don't want to get too emotionally involved with anyone other than my goals. Especially since this person is Gu Chen's sworn enemy. Moreover, judging from what he said, he clearly recognized me. I can't reveal the existence of the system, nor can I explain why I inexplicably appeared in his restroom earlier and even knocked him unconscious. I absolutely deny it. Excuse me, are you sure you haven't mistaken me for someone else?" Song Yu-hyo's smile faded, and he said somewhat hastily, "I couldn't possibly be mistaken. Don't you remember me?" I shrugged slightly. "I really don't know you." Song Yu-hyo wanted to say something more. Suddenly, Gu Chen's voice came from behind. "Ning Yan." I was immediately pulled behind him by Gu Chen. Gu Chen asked me, "Who is he?" "You two know each other." Honestly, his question confused me a little. "Oh, hello, big brother. He's Song Yu-hyo, your sworn enemy, your love rival. Don't you know anything? What's going on?" Song Yu-hyo knew Gu Chen. He didn't cling to my identity anymore, but pulled out a business card and gave it to Gu Chen, very humbly. "Mr. Gu has long admired you." I was stunned. Song Yu-hyo was being so polite to Gu Chen? Weren't they originally sworn enemies who disliked each other? What's wrong with you guys? Song Yu Hui spoke up to explain. He had accidentally bumped into Miss Ning just now and she looked a little familiar. He must have mistaken her for someone else. But he and Miss Ning. I regained my composure and answered on behalf of Gu Chen. I'm his assistant. A crack appeared in Song Yu Hui's calm expression, a mixture of disbelief and relief, but it was quickly concealed. Gu Chen and Song Yu Hui chatted for a few more sentences, mentioning words like project and cooperation. From beginning to end, I didn't hear them mention any information about the female lead. My head was itching, I felt like my brain was about to sprout, and I didn't even realize when Gu Chen dragged me home. Gu Chen's face was filled with anger. Why did you run away just because I didn't see you? Me? When did I run away? I'll tell you everything that happened from the moment I woke up until now. I didn't run away at all, I just wanted to buy breakfast. Halfway there, I realized I didn't have any money. Please don't falsely accuse me, okay? I'm very professional, you know. Gu Chen looked at me suspiciously. I was speechless. Gu Chen threw me an unlimited credit card. Spend it as much as you want. My eyes lit up. So, can I use the money on the card to pay for the damaged rearview mirror? Gu Chen laughed angrily, gritting his teeth. No. Oh, if that's not possible, then so be it. After the initial excitement wore off, I carefully observed Gu Chen's attire. A nightgown, pajama pants, messy hair, and droplets of water still clinging to the thin fabric around his neck. I cleared my throat twice. Gu, boss, do you realize you're walking in your slippers the wrong way? The maid has money now, so why bother cooking? I order delicious food online all day. Gu Chen doesn't have any objections and even eats with great relish. The only thing that puzzles me is, does Gu Chen need to bring a maid to work? I don't want to go. Who wants to be under the boss's watchful eye all day? Gu Chen then demanded to take back my card. Without a word, I left. I thought Gu Chen brought me to work so I could pour tea and make drinks for him. However, that wasn't the case. I was in his office all morning and afternoon without him saying a word. Meanwhile, his secretary brought me lots of snacks, like I was freeloading off a dog. Bored, I picked up a magazine on the desk and flipped through it. I only managed 2 pages before putting it down. I was afraid of disturbing Gu Chen with the noise of flipping through the pages. With nothing else to do, I treated Gu Chen like a statue, gazing at him intently. Each individual feature of Gu Chen's face was exceptional, and combined, there wasn't a single flaw. But I liked his eyes more. To be precise, the same eyes he had looked at me so intently 5 years ago, thick, long eyelashes, and within them, a vast, sparkling galaxy that was impossible to look away from. Now his eyes radiated the authority of a superior, creating an invisible sense of oppression when he stared at someone. Perhaps my gaze was too blatant. Gu Chen suddenly looked up, and I almost instinctively looked away, so I didn't see the slight curve of his lips. It was almost office time. The secretary knocked and entered. Mr. Gu, there's a Miss Su who wants to see you. She's been here several times already, you see. Gu Chen didn't even look up. I won't see her. The secretary said nothing more, turning and leaving. My heart was filled with doubt. Miss Su, could it be the female lead Su Ryuksu? Why not see her? I voiced my question. Gu Chen answered quickly, I don't know her. Why should he? I was speechless. This reasoning seemed perfectly sound. I vaguely confirmed one thing. Gu Chen didn't know Song Yu Hui, nor did he know Su Ryuksu. The plot seemed to have gone off track a long time ago. However, Gu Chen didn't know Su Ryuksu, so why did Su Ryuksu keep seeking him out? The identity of the female lead was quickly put aside, because this job of a maid was truly very busy. Not only did I have to think about what to cook for each meal, but I was also exploited by the capitalists, forced to work every day. Gradually, the employees in the company started gossiping. What kind of relationship did Miss Ning and Director Gu have? I thought she was the boss's girlfriend, who would normally come to the company to check on work every day. I heard they even lived together. Last time, Zio Li went to meet a friend and saw them entering the same building. Seriously? Is that true? So Miss Ning will be the future boss's wife? I told you so. Director Gu's gaze towards Miss Ning was anything but normal. Their rumors were getting further and further out of control. I really wanted to rush out and yell, "Haha, you guessed wrong. You think I'm the boss's wife? The truth is, I'm just a maid," but then I held back, letting them be. Anyway, the plot had already taken a turn. A relationship between me and Gu Chen wasn't impossible. Initially, Gu Chen was my target after all. An 8-figure target, hee. I was lost in my daydreams when, without me realizing it, Gu Chen was standing in front of me. What's with that silly grin? Gu Chen's face and my eyes turned into giant banknotes. I giggled twice. I dreamed I'd won the lottery. I won the jackpot, and one night a month later, by sheer coincidence, Gu Chen wanted me to accompany him to a cocktail party. I already had to follow him to the company every day, and now even my rest time was being exploited. It wasn't easy for this maid to finally muster the resolve to resist, to firmly refuse once, but Gu Chen was completely unyielding. Just one sentence. "Without you by my side, I'll panic." I fell into his trap and followed him. Thinking back, I realized something wasn't quite right. What was he panicking about? It should be everyone else panicking at the sight of him. Gu Chen went around greeting everyone with his glass of wine, while I occupied the buffet area, enjoying a lively meal. After devouring 2 lollipops, Song Yu Hue called me over. "Miss Ning, can we talk for a bit?" I stood by the window with Song Yu Hue, listening to his story. 5 years ago, I met a very strange girl. She seemed to have fallen from the sky into my life. Song Yang Hue chuckled softly. She even claimed to be a fairy. Of course, I didn't believe her. To prove it, she tricked me into closing my eyes, then said that if I counted to 3, she would disappear. Although I didn't believe her, I didn't want her to disappear either, because she was very beautiful. I knew perfectly well what she was doing, yet I still asked, "So what happened afterward?" Song Yang Hue looked straight into my eyes, and then I suddenly fainted. When I woke up, she was gone. I felt a little guilty. Sorry, I was forced to do it that time. Song Yu Hue continued, "I know it wasn't a dream. I've searched for her for a long time, but I still couldn't find her. Sometimes I think maybe she really is a fairy, that's why she can disappear as if she never existed. Until the last time I met you, you and she were exactly alike." The last sentence was spoken with absolute certainty in Song Yu Hue's voice. I didn't answer, choosing to change the subject. "Why were you searching for her?" "Because you liked her beautiful appearance." Song Yu Hue shook his head, his eyes somewhat hazy. "I don't know. I transformed into a wise sage of life. Perhaps the woman he described was just a dream he created himself. Even if it wasn't a dream, those who arbitrarily intrude into other people's lives, whether human or fairy, are not good people and don't deserve his affection. He's the male lead, but the female lead is the one worthy of his affection. I wonder if the male lead in this life will recognize the female lead. It's really worrying." I glanced into the distance, a little surprised. The female lead was also here. Su Ryuxu was wearing a white dress, her hair styled in a high bun, looking like a proud white swan. I was about to point her out to Song Yu Hue, telling him to look, that's his destiny. But then I noticed Su Ryuxu's gaze was fixed on Gu Chen. I flinched slightly. My CPU seemed to be overloaded. Song Yu Hue asked me what was wrong. Was I feeling unwell? I shook my head. It was nothing, and I didn't want to talk to him about Su Ryuxu anymore. After a while, I noticed Gu Chen looking around, probably searching for me. I said goodbye to Song Yu Hue, and before leaving, I didn't forget to remind him, "I'm not the person you're looking for. Please, Mr. Song, don't tell me about this again." I was afraid Gu Chen would misunderstand. Song Yu Hue is intelligent. I believe he'll understand. After saying that, I ignored the obvious disappointment in Song Yu Hue's eyes and walked towards Gu Chen. On the way back, I leaned against the car window, recalling Su Ryuxu's gaze at Gu Chen, a look both fierce and full of love. It was strange that such a look appeared on Su Ryuxu. Thinking about it repeatedly, I couldn't understand why my face was getting hotter and hotter. I resolutely pressed my face against the car door, but it was useless. The heat in my body surged like a torrent of lava. Gu Chen noticed my unusual behavior. He placed the back of his hand on my forehead, his expression immediately turning unpleasant. I didn't give him a chance to pull his hand away, clinging to his cool fingers like an octopus, and then climbing onto his body. Gu Chen's voice suddenly became hoarse, and he whispered, "Don't move." I buried my face in his chest, the heat in my body intensifying. My flushed face looked up at him. "Gu Chen, help me with this heat." I don't remember much of what happened afterward, only that there seemed to be gentle kisses constantly falling on my ear. The air gradually became scarce, making my head spin. The next morning, when I woke up, the sun was already high in the sky. I hurriedly sat up, a throbbing pain spreading through my waist. Perhaps my movements were too forceful, waking the person beside me. Gu Chen slowly opened his eyes, his voice still hoarse. "Where did you go?" I stiffly replied. "To cook." A low chuckle escaped him. "Our kitchen never cooks anything. Enhan, are you addicted to being a babysitter?" Enhan's heart pounded as I turned to look at him, mimicking his tone and asking back, "Otherwise, why? If not a nanny, then what else could I do?" A large hand wrapped around my waist, flipping me face down on the bed, his hot breath burning my ear. Gu Chen said each word clearly, "Be the mistress of the house." No sooner had he said that than Gu Chen left for a 3-day business trip, the very next day. He had originally intended to take me along, but thankfully he still had some conscience, and knowing I was still weak didn't force me. Wait, that's not right. Wasn't my current predicament due to Gu Chen? Does this guy have any conscience at all? I lay on the swing chair on the balcony, closing my eyes and contemplating my life. I thought that after Gu Chen said those words, my mission would be complete, but I waited and still didn't see the system notify me that the mission was finished. I suspected the system was malfunctioning, so I kept confirming with it. The soul system affirmed, "Host, do you think I'm still the same person I used to be? There's nothing wrong, the real mission isn't complete yet. I'm frustrated. Men, you really can never trust them. But I actually admire Gu Chen quite a bit. He can pretend to be infatuated even when he doesn't like someone, almost making me believe him completely." On the third day, Gu Chen went on a business trip, and Su Ryuksu came to my door. At first, I thought she was looking for Gu Chen, but it turned out she was looking for me. In a quiet tea house, she poured me a cup of tea. The tea had a subtle, delicate floral fragrance. As the female protagonist, Su Ryuksu naturally possessed a beautiful appearance and an elegant aura like a white orchid. The first thing she said was, "I know you're not an ordinary person." I wasn't surprised. Just as she knew I wasn't an ordinary person, I knew she wasn't either. Su Ryuksu in this life is also a reincarnated person. Again, seeing that I didn't react to her words, Su Ryuksu smiled. It seems she already knows everything. I put down my teacup. Know what? Know that she's a reincarnated person, or know that she put poison in Gu Chen's drink at the banquet, but I mistakenly drank it. It's funny to think about it. That day, after saying goodbye to Song Yu Hui, after finding Gu Chen, I suddenly felt strangely thirsty. At that time, my glass and Gu Chen's glass were placed next to each other. By some twist of fate, I drank from Gu Chen's glass by mistake, and then Gu Chen tormented me all night. When I exposed her, the smile on my face couldn't be maintained anymore. But what I'm curious about is why, after being reincarnated, she didn't go looking for Song Yu Hui, but instead wasted time and effort on Gu Chen, a person she didn't love at all. As I was talking, my vision suddenly became blurry. I shook my head, unconsciously glancing at the teacup in front of me. No way, why? Why is this woman always scattering drugs everywhere? When I fell onto the table, I vaguely heard my sister whispering in my ear, who said I don't love Gu Chen. "It's you stole him from me." In my unconscious state, countless memories flashed through my mind, memories of Gu Chen, Su Ryuksu, and Song Yu Hui. To be honest, Gu Chen and Su Ryuksu were the first to know each other. Gu Chen was injured in a fight and coincidentally met Su Ryuksu. Su Ryuksu helped him bandage his wounds, and he developed feelings for her. In the novel, Su Ryuksu helps Gu Chen out of kindness, without any romantic feelings. But the truth is not like that. Su Ryuksu really likes Gu Chen, but what she likes is his money. Although extremely beautiful, Su Ryuksu comes from an ordinary family. She has always been proud and unwilling to live in poverty. And Gu Chen is the son of Gu Shengjai, the chairman of the Wansheng Group. Approaching Gu Chen is the best way for her to change her fate, and everything unfolded exactly as Su Ryuksu planned. Gu Chen fell in love with her. But Su Ryuksu was extremely intelligent. She understood very well that things that come easily are often not appreciated. Therefore, she thoroughly employed a strategy of using subtle tactics, sometimes keeping her distance, sometimes keeping her close to Gu Chen. But Su Ryuksu, despite her meticulous planning, couldn't have foreseen Gu Chen's determination to sever ties with his father. Therefore, Su Ryuksu turned her attention to Song Yu Hui, who, though not as wealthy as the Gu family, was equally outstanding. Hurt by both love and family, Gu Chen turned evil. Although Gu Chen later retained control of the Wansheng Group, Su Ryuksu knew she couldn't turn back. She was forced to choose Song Yu Hui. The ending of the story proved Su Ryuksu's choice was correct. Gu Chen was imprisoned for illegal trafficking and unlawful imprisonment. Su Ryuksu, along with Song Yu Hui, helped revive their careers and lived happily ever after. When I woke up, I found my hands and feet bound with rough ropes. The room was pitch black, seemingly without a single window. I couldn't determine where I was. Su Ryuksu's voice rang out, seemingly answering my last question before I fainted. Do all people think that a story only needs 2 or 3 lines of happy ending to truly be happy? Initially, I thought so too, but later I realized it wasn't. I thought I had chosen the right person, that I would have the life I desired, that Song Yu Hui would love me forever. But it wasn't like that. The story ended in endless doubts and arguments. When Gu Chen held me captive, he didn't actually do anything to me. He even cleaned up everything in the room that could hurt me, fearing I might commit suicide. But after everything was over, Song Yu Hui's gaze towards me changed. He felt I was no longer pure and didn't want to touch me anymore. That's when I realized that Song Yu Hui's love was insignificant compared to Gu Chen's. Suddenly, I felt a pang of regret for not choosing Gu Chen. I chuckled softly. So after being reborn, she wanted to change everything, wanted to choose Gu Chen, but then realized that Gu Chen wouldn't even see her once. Su Ruoxu's expression turned fierce. She glared at me aggressively. "It's all your fault. You stole Gu Chen from me." I felt speechless. The tragic end of her previous life was entirely her own doing. If she had decisively chosen Gu Chen from the beginning, things wouldn't have turned out this way. Now she's blaming me for stealing Gu Chen. Why should Gu Chen be a backup option forever, waiting for her to choose him? You're lying. I never considered him a backup option. I came back to love him. I scoffed, deceiving myself. She doesn't love anyone. She only loves herself. Enraged by my provocation, TOE and H letter 1B0 letter 1E3 CTUY letter 1EBFT suddenly pulled out a knife and pointed it at my neck. In short, if you just disappear, everything will go back to how it was. Gu Chen loved me like that before, and he will love me like that again. L letter 1EF Dao cut through my flesh, and I smelled the pungent scent of blood. Suddenly, the door burst open, and Gu Chen, silhouetted against the light, rushed in. The blinding light made me squint. Once my eyes adjusted to the light, I saw Gu Chen's gloomy face, his whole demeanor radiating coldness. He clearly looked fierce and ruthless, yet his voice trembled slightly. "The police are coming soon. I'll agree to any conditions you have, just don't harm her." TOE and H letter 1B0 letter 1E3 CTUY letter 1EBFT was momentarily stunned by Gu Chen's sudden appearance. Then she tightened her grip on the knife and let out a strange, eerie laugh. Why? Why was she the only one in his eyes? It couldn't be like that. He should have loved me instead. Gu Chen had no memories of his past life and didn't understand her meaningless words, only thinking that she was being manipulated by her despicable younger brother to act so recklessly. Ever since they conspired to drug Gu Chen and he discovered their plot, he had been secretly monitoring their actions, never expecting them to target me. The moment he learned the news, Gu Chen was on the verge of going mad. He didn't dare say anything more, afraid of angering Su Ruoxu. Su Ruoxu seemed to have gone mad, crying and laughing at the same time, screaming so loudly it gave me a headache. I don't know how long it was, but she suddenly calmed down. "You've called the police, so I can't escape either. Since that's the case, let's play a game." She kicked another knife towards Gu Chen. "I'll count to 3, you stab yourself, and I'll release her." I secretly rolled my eyes. This is what she calls returning to love him? Yes, her love is truly something ordinary people can't handle. Gu Chen's gaze was deep and profound as he bent down to pick up the knife. I panicked. No, if the mission fails, I'll only have death as my fate. There's no need to save me. It really isn't necessary. Without hesitation, Gu Chen swung the knife, and fresh blood instantly stained his clothes. I don't remember how I reacted at that moment, I only know it hurt terribly everywhere. Why did I feel so much pain when Gu Chen was the one injured? Taking advantage of Su Ruoxu's distraction, Gu Chen rushed forward, snatched the knife from her hand, and threw it away. The police quickly arrived. Gu Chen used his other hand to tightly grasp mine, saying, "Don't be afraid, everything will be all right." My tears fell uncontrollably onto Gu Chen's hand. After being put into the ambulance, Gu Chen still didn't let go of my hand. He tried to wipe away my tears, but I pressed his hand down. Gu Chen hooked his finger around mine, gesturing for me to lean down. His lips pressed against my ear, his voice weak but full of sincerity. "I don't dislike you at all. Because I like you, that's why I brought you home. Because I'm afraid you'll disappear, that's why I want to take you everywhere. Because I want to be with you forever, that's why I want you to be my boss. Ning Yan, I love you." I took a deep breath, not wanting to cry, but I really couldn't control myself. On the first night Gu Chen went on business trip, I was annoyed because I didn't hear the system notification that the mission was completed, and I even tried to drown my sorrows in alcohol. My alcohol tolerance isn't exactly good. Alcohol loosened my tongue. After getting drunk, I called Gu Chen. The phone rang only once before he answered. Without waiting for Gu Chen to speak, I blurted out a torrent of words. I asked him why he slept with me if he didn't like me, why he said things that could be misinterpreted if he didn't like me. "Gu Chen, why don't you like me? Gu Chen, if you don't like me anymore, I'll die. Gu Chen, you like me, right? Only then can I complete my mission and leave here. I want to go home." The ambulance siren echoed through the street. The announcement I'd long awaited rang in my head. Congratulations, host, mission successful. You will return to your original world within 3 days. Gu Chen was injured in the abdomen. He had acted cautiously. The wound wasn't too deep, but he still hadn't regained consciousness. During that time, Song Yu Hui visited once, sat silently for a while, and then left. No one else came. Since I met Gu Chen, he seemed to have always been alone. I was too. On the day I bumped into his car's rearview mirror, what I told him wasn't entirely fabricated. About being an orphan, alone and lonely. I do have parents, but they didn't want me. Because I was a girl, they planned to give me away from the moment I was born. My grandmother stopped them, so they left me with my grandmother to raise. My parents rarely visit me. Later, they divorced and remarried, and even those who rarely saw each other were gone. After my grandmother passed away, I had no relatives left. From that moment on, I began a life of solitude. But after transmigrating, I acquired a system. Although I couldn't see or touch it, at least I had someone to talk to and keep me company. I wasn't lonely. But it seemed Gu Chen had no one else besides me. For the first time, I considered staying here. However, the system said, according to the rules, the host must return to their original world. I lowered my head in disappointment. However, since we have such a connection, I will make an exception and allow the host to stay, but for a period of 10 years. I looked up, both surprised and delighted, muttering, 10 years is fine, 10 years is a long time. It was only later that I learned the exception was due to the system using half of its own energy value to exchange for it. A year later, on Gu Chen's birthday, Gu Chen and I got married. On our wedding night, Gu Chen gave me many gifts, property deeds, a supercar, bank cards. Besides these, there was also a pile of little toys. I took out a stuffed sheep. Why are you giving me this? He asked. Because once you dreamed that I said I had a sheep but couldn't find it, I wanted to give you one to make up for it. I was speechless. The consequences of living too long on the prairie. You have your consequences for me too, I said. A glint flashed in Gu Chen's eyes. I pulled out a thick encyclopedia of law from behind my back and held it out in front of him. Gu Chen remained silent. I explained, I'm giving you this to remind you to always remember that you must. As a good citizen, you shouldn't do things like illegal trading or unlawful detention. Do you understand? Gu Chen's eyes were full of suspicion as he looked at me. Ning Yan, listening to you, it sounds like I've done those things before, doesn't it? I shook my head vigorously. I didn't mean it that way, I'm just being cautious, Gu Chen suddenly frowned. So, have you considered what would happen if, after thorough research, he figured out how to exploit loopholes in the law? My eyes widened. I hadn't even considered that angle. I silently withdrew the book. Gu Chen quickly snatched it and placed it on the table. His charming eyes were filled with displeasure. He lifted me up and placed me on the bed, his warm breath caressing my neck. He's angry now. What kind of image does he have in Enhan's eyes? Is he not evil? I wanted to retort, but the words were swallowed back. The next morning when I woke up, Gu Chen's face was full of contentment. He hugged me and snuggled against me. He said, Enhan, I once dreamed of a fairy and she said she wanted to fall in love with me. I went along with his question. Oh, and then what? Gu Chen took my hand and we fell in love and got married. HMPH, childish. Gu Chen, if one day I suddenly disappear, don't be heartbroken and don't look for me. Just live well, okay? 6 years into our marriage, I began to subtly hint at this to Gu Chen. Each time, he would hug me tightly without saying a word. Without his direct agreement, I always felt uneasy, unable to sleep well. In the middle of the night, there was a rustling sound beside the bed, then an arm wrapped around me. Go to sleep, I promise you, the day I leave this world will be Valentine's Day. Gu Chen gave me a huge bouquet of roses. We went to the movies and had a candlelit dinner like any other couple. As we walked past a shopping mall display case, I saw our reflections. One tall, one short, a perfect match. I asked Gu Chen, am I getting old? Gu Chen squeezed my palm. You're talking nonsense. Only when we hold hands until we're old and gray can we talk about growing old together. I turned away, my eyes glistening with tears. Growing old together, perhaps that's no longer possible. But how much I longed to grow old with you. I went for a walk with Gu Chen and didn't return until evening. We curled up silently on the sofa, neither of us saying a word. Until the clock on the wall was about to strike 12, I shook Gu Chen's arm playfully and said, I suddenly crave strawberry cake. Gu Chen paused for a moment, then hoarsely said, okay, I'll go buy some for you. I saw Gu Chen to the door, but he lingered, silently watching me, not saying a word, yet his voice was piercingly harsh. Finally, he turned and walked out. I'm not usually one to cry, but my tears refused to obey, falling drop by drop onto the ground. The system appeared, seemingly sad to see me like this. He suddenly sighed and said, "Host, for the past 10 years, I've seen you live very happily, completely different from your life in the old world. Perhaps I can help you one last time as a friend." Before leaving, the system added, "Wishing you complete happiness." After saying that, the system completely disappeared, leaving me stunned in the house. I wasn't forced to leave after all. Overwhelmed with unexpected happiness, I quickly opened the door, ran to Gu Chen's back, and hugged him tightly. "Gu Chen, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years from now, let's hold hands and eat strawberry cake together." Gu Chen's voice trembled slightly as he replied, "Yes, it will always be like that." From Gu Chen's perspective, on my 18th birthday, everything was like any other birthday. No one was there to celebrate with me. I ate cake and drank wine in the house my mother left me, and I had a beautiful dream. A fairy fell from the sky, coincidentally landing on my bed. She came to love me. The fairy's lips were so soft, I longed to kiss her. But the fairy said that kissing her meant belonging to her, and I couldn't like anyone else. That was only natural. How could one heart hold two people? The next morning when I woke up, I suddenly felt that what happened last night might not have been a dream because everything felt so real. I even clearly remembered the tear mole on the fairy's left cheek. But if it wasn't a dream, then where had the fairy gone? She had clearly promised to love me. Never mind, maybe she's busy. It's okay. I can wait. In the second year of waiting for the fairy sister, I severed my father-son relationship with Gu Shengzhai. It's nothing to be sad about, but I need to study hard to earn money. Otherwise, when the fairy sister comes looking for me, I'll still be penniless. No, that would be too unfair to her. I'd feel guilty. I have a pretty good knack for making money, probably inherited from Gu Shengzhai. Now I've earned a lot of money on my own. I've saved it all in a savings card to support the fairy sister. But I've never supported anyone before. I don't know if this money is enough. Never mind, I'll keep earning money. Gu Shengzhai is dead. He clearly said before that if I dared to step out of the house even one step, he wouldn't leave me a single penny. But the inscription on the bamboo slip clearly states that he left most of his assets to me. After his second son, Gu He, found out, he came to pick a fight with me. It's hilarious. A weak, brainless person like him could be finished off with just one punch. 5 years passed, and the fairy sister remained completely out of contact. I went to a temple to consult a high-ranking monk. The monk told me to go to Hao Ting at night, and if I left at exactly 11 o'clock, I would meet my destined one. The monk was indeed a high-ranking monk. The fairy sister did appear, though in a rather peculiar way. She crashed into my car's rearview mirror, shattering it into pieces. The mirror was already about to fall off before she hit it. Initially, I planned to have the driver fix it when I got home, but I wanted to tease her a little. After all, she had made me wait so long. The fairy sister's name was Ning Yan, a beautiful name that suited Gu Chen perfectly. I asked her if she had anything to say to me. For example, I tried to explain why she had disappeared for so long, but Ning Yan asked if I could refrain from holding her accountable. I was a little angry. Did she not recognize me? Never mind, I'd find a reason to take her home first. Maybe it was just too dark in the car, she couldn't see my face clearly. After arriving home, before going upstairs, I asked her again. She said good night. I became even angrier. The lights in the house were very bright. I didn't believe she didn't recognize me. Maybe she had some unspoken suffering. I chose to believe the latter. At midnight, I secretly sneaked into Ning Yan's room. She had a wound on her forehead that needed treatment. But when I applied the medicine, her hand kept fidgeting. To prevent her from touching the wound, I crouched beside the bed, holding her hand all night. I didn't return to my room until dawn, but after only a brief shower, you were gone. At that moment, all I could think about was finding you, so much so that I forgot I was still in my pajamas when I ran outside. Luckily, you weren't gone, but I was a little embarrassed. I even wore my shoes inside out. I almost forgot something else, that guy Song Yu Huai wants to cooperate with our company. No way, don't think I didn't notice. The way that fairy-like sister looked at him was full of scheming. Everything Ning Yan ordered suited my taste. Look, how well we complement each other, we're a perfect match. Hee, I was afraid the fairy sister would disappear again. That's why I had to bring her to work with me. Everyone in the company started spreading rumors that Ning Yan was the future boss. I laughed, the plan didn't work out. But the guesswork was pretty accurate. Ning Yan was tough on the outside, but soft on the inside. She said she absolutely wouldn't go to the party with me, but as soon as I said one word, she went. Gu He even conspired with another woman to drug my drink. What's even worse is that Ning Yan accidentally drank from that glass. Although when the drug took effect, Ning Yan was very cute, very charming, and very obedient. But Gu He was finished. Initially, I hired the fairy sister as a maid just to have an excuse to take her home. But now that Ning Yan is addicted, what am I going to do? I'm so sad. I missed Ning Yan terribly while I was on business. Thankfully, Ning Yan called me that night. She asked me why I didn't like her. I wanted to say that I'd liked her for a very long time. But Ning Yan said, "Gu Chen, can you like me? Then I can complete my mission and leave. I want to go home." Suddenly, I didn't dare say anything more. I was afraid she would leave. The person I sent to monitor Gu He and Su Ryuxu called me. Su Ryuxu had gone to find Ning Yan. I suddenly felt extremely panicked. I had only discussed half of the project and had rushed back. Sure enough, Ning Yan was in trouble. My hands trembled uncontrollably. I had never been so scared before. Fortunately, when I arrived, that crazy woman hadn't yet attacked Ning Yan. I stabbed myself, but in exchange for my Ning Yan, it was worth it. Finally, I couldn't help but tell Ning Yan that I liked her. If she truly didn't belong here, I hoped she could take my love and leave. I felt like I was in a coma, but I didn't completely lose consciousness. I could hear Ning En-han kept crying. I wanted to comfort her, but I couldn't open my eyes. Just before I woke up, I heard Ning En-han ask, "Can I stay?" I didn't hear the other person's answer, but Ning En-han suddenly laughed. She said 10 years was enough. 10 years is very long. Ning En-han and I thought the same thing. 10 years is indeed very long. The day En-han left arrived. She tricked me into buying a cake. Each step was heavy. Why were tears still falling from my eyes? Then, a sudden hug from behind dispelled the fog. My little girl's voice rang out, pulling me out of the abyss. So, we could really go to Jianglong together until we were old and gray, right? Later, we found out the reason and discovered we had made a deal with the server. He accepted exchanging all his energy and eternal inability to be resurrected so that Ning En-han could stay in this world. Thank you so much, my brother I've never met. Thank you for giving us a chance. A fulfilling life. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I always appreciate all your feedback and suggestions. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, or subscribe to support us.